Hi, you are listening to the Diary of a Medium, Stories from the Spirit World podcast. This podcast is for you if you have ever been curious about the spirit world. In this episode, I will be chatting with guests who share their own extraordinary stories that has led them to awaken their own spiritual gifts. Let's jump straight in and meet today's guest. Hello. Welcome back to Diary of a Medium, Stories from the Spirit World. I'm your host, Em, and today I have the beautiful Kylie Anderson, who is joining me to share some stories and share a little bit about her journey from losing her beautiful son, Ben, right through to now launching events and helping other families. Yay! Awesome. And thank you for spending your time or giving up your time here to meet with me and chat, about something that's very close to your heart. Obviously, your beautiful boy. And the signs, I guess, from spirit and the synchronicities. And we're going to talk a little bit about also how our kind of worlds have intertwined, which is super interesting. Having only known each other for a very short space of time. And we met recently in Bali on a retreat. And it's almost like we literally bumped into each other in the street.
Literally.
It literally happened like that, right?
It did. It literally happened just like that.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And then we kind of decided, let's have dinner together. And I don't know about you, but we actually went for dinner together that night. And the depth of our conversation was one I can only really describe as almost like a soul knowing, right? It was, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever met anyone and had a depth of a conversation like that we did that night.
Never. It was, I just remember thinking, holy heck, like, what is happening? Like, I didn't feel like you were a stranger, literally bumping into you in the street, only ever seeing you online, never communicating. And then, yeah, it was, I don't know, it was like I'd known you my whole life. There was definitely lots of what the heck
Yes,
moments.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was lots of what the heck moments that we will definitely share. But yes, and I agree with you, right? It's almost like our souls knew each other already. There was like a familiarity to our connection. And then we kind of started talking. You asked me, what do you do? And then it was after I shared with you that I was a psychic medium that you were like,
it all just made sense from that moment. There had been things leading up to heading to Bali. And
yes.
then, when that happened, I just remember thinking, oh, I know what's happening now. Yeah, we were meant to bump
Yes.
into each other in the street of
Yes,
Bali.
yes.
It was all just meant to be. It's what I needed. I know it's what I needed as well.
It was all
Yeah.
orchestrated. Yeah. Yes. And I remember that first night that we met, I felt the energy from you that this was going to be a huge transformation in your journey, going back nearly 9 years when obviously your life changed forever when you lost your beautiful son, Ben, in a motorbike accident. And we started talking a little bit about Ben. Like, I knew that you had lost your son, and then obviously when we connected, it became apparent that he was part of the orchestration of us really connecting. So tell me a little bit about that, just whatever feels right for you about Ben, and obviously maybe the first signs or experiences that you had after he left.
Yeah, so very shortly after I lost Ben, there was just so many things that were happening. Would hear him, smell him, see him at times. I remember one time I was leaving the intersection of where he was killed, and I was an absolute mess. And I remember leaving, and as I pulled away, the song Stairway to Heaven came on the radio. And I just remember thinking, oh, like, thanks, mate.
Wow.
And there was so many things like that. So many things like
Yes.
that. I would have missed calls on
Wow.
my phone. This was a huge one. Like, just constantly these missed calls from numbers that weren't numbers. Like, the whole screen was just all numbers. So there was just
Mm.
constant things like that. Songs, the phone, my phone malfunctioning, literally hearing him, smelling him, seeing him,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
not
Wow.
knowing at that point. And look, to be honest, not even really believing in afterlife and them communicating. And there was
Yes.
just so many oh, there was just so many things, and it got to a point where I thought family were going to have me institutionalized if I was to speak of it, to be honest. Like, there was just so much, there was so many things, and it was just constant.
Yes. Wow. It's interesting because you said, really, even though all of these things were happening, these synchronicities, you could feel him, you could smell him, he was sending you songs and he was playing with your phone and these kind of things. There was still that part of you that was like, is this real? Am I making it up? Am I just wanting it too much, I guess, comes
Yeah.
to mind. And then that worry that if I voice this, if I say this is happening, that how will people react? They might think that I'm actually going crazy. Like, I think you actually said that to me. You said, I was worried that they would section me, that if I said that these things were happening to me, that people would just think I was so much in my grief that I was actually hallucinating them or making
This
them
kind
up.
of thing was never within family and friends, and it was never a conversation. Like, I'd never had a conversation with anyone previously,
Mm.
which just made it even more intense. I honestly felt like I need to zip it. Like, don't tell anyone. Now I tell everyone. I'm like, that was my boy.
I know that there'll be lots of my listeners, Kylie, that have lost a loved one and have had these experiences and would feel the same as you. They don't feel safe to share. They come to think that they're maybe just making it up and it's not real. They're
Yeah.
going crazy. And it's really important that we talk about this, and I'm really passionate about interviewing people like you and sharing experiences so that other people listening can go, oh my gosh, that happened to me, and I wasn't crazy. These things were
Yeah.
happening. And I know that you had shared with me in Bali that after he had passed, it was like you were looking for some kind of support in those early days, and you wish that there was obviously something available for support, which we're going to talk about the things that you're doing now to bridge that gap for that. So tell me a little bit about that early days after you lost him.
What a roller coaster. Still is at times, but obviously you're going through this grief and loss, and wasn't aware of the spiritual world, I guess. And then all these little things are happening, which just made me withdraw even more. And then you go to get help, and I always made it very clear I don't want to be medicated, but I need help. And every time I'd walk out with a script to put in the bin, another
Yes.
piece of paper to put in the bin. And then I remember being down at the intersection, and it was a really big day. It's the day that I had his Harley-Davidson brought home, missing the seats because they had lost it in transporting his bike. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Um, and so many things had happened around that. I'd had a plaque
Yeah.
made up for the cross that we'd put there, and I was talking to Major Crash on the phone while I was picking this plaque up, and I was saying, like, I just want my kid's damn seat back. Like, it's not okay. And this lady overheard it. She'd just been talking to a lady on a treadmill, and she saw a post on Gumtree and Facebook that a Harley Davidson seat had been found on the freeway. And if you can say what model Harley it's come off and roughly where it was found, it would be returned. So, of course,
Hmm.
my husband at the time, my oldest daughter, we all jumped on social media, posted everywhere we could. Within 5 minutes, my daughter's post got a hit of a screenshot of this ad about the seat. So I contacted him. It was his seat. The first thing I did when he brought it back was smell,
Wow.
like I could smell it. I could smell it. That's what he sat his stinky bum on. That
Yeah.
was his seat. Um,
Mm.
and it
Yes.
rocked up. This guy
Yeah.
returned it to us the same time the tow truck showed up with his Harley, all at the same time. I'd been battling all these signs of communication from Ben for so long and started blocking it out because of the fear
Yes.
of
Hmm.
people were going to have me
Hmm.
institutionalized if I voiced it. So I just blocked it. And then I remember being down at the intersection. This
Mm.
lady come around the corner and just about snapping her neck, to be honest, like looking at us. And I'm like, oh, seriously? Like, not today, love. And she
Yes.
parked up and she walked over to me. And
Yes.
she she walks over to
Mm.
me and the first thing she says to me, she says, I'm so sorry, but your son's got so much he needs to tell you. And we were on the side of the road for over an hour where she was just like,
Wow.
all the things that had been going through my head were answered that day. Apparently, like it turns out she only lives a couple of blocks
Yes.
away from the accident. He'd been communicating with her. She was a medium. And from that moment, I was
Yes.
100% a believer. One of the biggest things I was struggling with at that time, I remember, was whether he suffered at all and that I wasn't there to hold his hand or talk to him or
Yes.
um, and
Hmm.
that's one of the first things she said to me. She said, he really, really needs you to know that he didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
And it was instant. And that's one of the first things she said to me. And then we were talking casually at one point, and I just remember gasping, like holding my breath because she mentioned the word seat. And she says, he just keeps
Mm.
chanting, they found my beeping seat. Like he was swearing. They found my, yeah, beeping seat. And she
Yeah.
said he just kept chanting it. They found my seat.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Like all of these signs, all of the music, the playing with my devices, the turning the light switch on in his room, all of it
Hmm.
was him communicating.
Yeah, beautiful. And it sounded as though, that came at the right time for you to kind of almost go, okay, it is real. I'm not losing my
Yeah,
mind. And it was validating for you all of the things that you knew had been happening. Generally, their spirit is as strong as they are. When we are connecting with beautiful souls on the other side, they do very much come through as they are, of course, in their human body when they are here, because how else would you know it's them if they came through differently, right? So I love that she was able to come and give you comfort. I love all that you shared that story, and obviously having that connection with that medium, brought you what it sounds like a lot of healing and clarification of the things that you had been experiencing since he had passed. And in having that validation, did that change how you felt about, believing?
believing 110%. And if it came up in conversation, I would be like, I've had no choice but to believe because I
Yes, I
know that's
totally
my
get
boy.
you. Yeah, yes. And I guess the difference between then and probably now is a lot of work that you have done, obviously, to get where you are now. And what I mean by work is you've worked through yourself in order to accept those parts of you and him, and then not be worried about other people's opinions, right? Because that's often what happens, is we're worried people's judgments, what people will say about us if we're talking about something a little bit like woo woo or
Yeah.
whatever. So that's definitely an amazing testament to the work that you have done, that of course we are going to touch on. So let's take ourselves back to Bali and back to dinner when we met. And one of the one of the things that you shared with me then, which I feel like this has been a huge impact in your journey was we talked a little bit about how in losing your son, you lost your identity with him, that you became the mother of an angel. And of course you did, your boy left and he became this beautiful angel that's always around you. But what you sort of shared with me in that journey was that it impacted your own sense of self, and you identify as the mother of an angel, and it was almost like Kylie's lost. Where is she? She kind of obviously left, part of her left when he left, of course, because that's what happens when we lose someone we love. Part of our soul, travels with them. And it was when we met in Bali and we were talking about that I had this huge sense that this retreat for you was going to be more about reclaiming yourself back, right? Reclaiming Kylie back. And you mentioned, I think, rebirth.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
It's only recently that I realised that it was identifying me. I started feeling a little bit uncomfortable when I would tell somebody, given my email address, like it's mother of an angel, the dates. Yes. And at the end of the day, I'm mother of three, nana to two. And it definitely started defining me because of mother of an angel. I even started a Facebook group for support, Mothers of Angels Australia.
I guess the work that you have done has allowed you to integrate being that mother of an angel, but integrate it into part of who you are, because of course it is part of you, but that it isn't fully you. It's just a part of the integration for you to have that peace and then reclaim the rest of you back. I think when we talked about the rebirth, it's about reclaiming the other parts of you that are so much more than that. Even so much more than the mother of three, the nana of two. Like as a human, you're a fucking awesome human. You're an amazing person. Like I've come to know you like so well over these past weeks. And at the end of the day, you are so powerful in your own right. And definitely for me, I believe that our paths were meant to cross for a real deeper soul purpose. And that's why all of these synchronicities that came up with us. So when we talk about, is it coincidence? So are the things that connect us coincidence?
No.
Or have our souls met in a past life? Because our souls are... It's not coincidence. Our souls have intertwined somewhere in a different realm, in a different lifetime for sure. And the reason why I guess we connected so deeply is that the synchronicities that have stood out for us since we have connected. So I'd love to share with our listeners some of the
crazy
that kind of we found out about each other. The crazy things that we found out about each other. So as it turns out, your beautiful boy Ben, when you shared his name with me, I had said to you, does Ben have two middle names? And I think you said something to me like, yeah, I know that's unusual for a boy. I think something like that. And then I shared with you, that's interesting because my son has two middle names. And I always thought, that's unusual. And then we went on to find out that not only that, which could be, a coincidence, that they actually share one middle name that is the same. And also one of our daughters share one middle name that's the same.
Crazy.
Which is a bit crazy. We got to really connect on a very deep level in this work, in our breath work, in our connection, and really doing some inner work on ourselves. And each time there became something else that became apparent that was in a way that we were connected and how our souls had intertwined. And I think another one of those synchronicities was that the day that Ben left also shared the birthday of one of my daughters as well, in a way. So she was born in the UK on the 7th of July, and Ben left on the 8th of July in Australia, which of course is the 7th of July in the UK. Was also another one of those just very small little synchronicities in how our worlds collided a little bit. I guess I want to ask you, what's the one thing that maybe in those synchronicities stood out to you?
Oh, don't make me pick one. Honestly, it just feels like it was a whole 4 or 5 days of just constant.
Yeah,
If I'm to
I'll
pick,
put you on the spot now.
yeah, because there were so many. I think the one that really
Yeah.
started it all off, um, was the backpack.
The backpack. Yeah, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Okay, do you want to share the story of the backpack?
Yeah, okay. So that obviously we bumped into each other on the street, crazy, like, and then straight up felt like we'd known each other, went and had tea together, and then obviously the more we talked, and there was just so many little things. At tea, I'd been saying I'd got to get a backpack on the way back to my hotel. I've got to get a backpack. I need it for the classes the following day. And we left the restaurant and walked down the street, and there was a little side stall that had some bags hanging. And I looked up, and the first bag I saw was a Harley-Davidson bag. So my son was killed on his Harley-Davidson. And I remember looking at you and looking at that and going, oh, God. And then the Balinese man, it was his shop, obviously. He literally got his hook and pulled this backpack off and put it in front of me and said, "This one for you, ma'am." And I had to walk away. I was honestly like, what the? I, it was too much. It was too much. And then I couldn't do it initially because honestly, my son, obviously, he was a Harley Davidson rider, and I was in Bali riding a scooter. And I knew he would have already been laughing at me over being on a scooter. When I'd taken him to Bali, he got on a proper bike. He hired a proper bike, and I've always just ridden scooters over there. And
Yes.
I knew that he would be pulling the what out of me if I got on a scooter with a Harley Davidson
Yeah.
backpack. So initially I tried to fight. I tried to fight buying this damn Harley Davidson backpack. And I remember we walked away and you were like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not sure, but I don't want to." But I feel like I have to because it was just the way it was put in front of me. And I just remember getting on the scooter the following
And we,
day with the backpack on my back and had a really good laugh because I knew he was up there laughing at me, like thinking it was a big fat joke that I was riding a scooter with a Harley Davidson backpack.
I know. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because at dinner, and we were talking about the signs, right? The signs,
Yeah, that's
how
right.
obviously spirit, our loved ones, like give us little things, and then we've come out of there, and then he took this backpack off and handed you to it. Now remember the look on your face when you looked at me, and I think you said something to me like "F off," because
Yeah.
like we'd literally just been talking about it. But what I love about this and what I want our listeners to know is that, we'd talked at dinner a little bit and you'd shared to me about how after you lose someone that is close to you, how it's really hard to find the joy. And then the first time that you laugh or you felt so much guilt, right? About laughing, like, how am I able to laugh when I've lost my son? And I just felt that it tied that in so beautifully that he orchestrated this, if you believe that, orchestrated, which totally we were there and we knew what happened. And the guy out of the 10 backpacks handed you the Harley-Davidson one. And what I love about this was every day that you put that backpack on, you had a
Yeah.
laugh, you had a smile, you thought about him, right? It brought you joy, right? To be able to know, oh my God, he is like literally ripping me right now that I'm on this scooter with this backpack. And that's what I wanted to share that story so beautifully, because it's being able to find that joy, right, in that pain and in that loss, which does take some time. Like we're talking about 9 years, right, since you lost him, to be able to then put that on. And that's how, when I stood there and I just looked and you went, this is what you're talking about to me. This is what you mean, isn't it? And I'm like, this is what I mean. They're always around, they're guiding us. They want us to remember them in that way. They want us to remember how they are when they were here. Like that would be him. If he was here, he would be 100%, he would be doing that. And that's the important thing to remember, when we're in our grief. They don't want us to see us like that. They want us to remember that the beautiful things and the beautiful memories, and how they actually were. So thanks for sharing that story. Yeah, and then when we, I guess, add a little bit on the end of that, we'll share that when we got back from Bali, my daughters were down in Melbourne, and my middle girl, and I know Ben was your middle child as well, FaceTimed me and said, "Mom, look what I bought, the girliest girl ever, and look what I bought at the markets." And she holds up a Harley Davidson jacket. And I was like, you can't make that shit up. So yeah, so there's so much more that we could talk about. I just love that we can talk about this. It just really kind of brings his essence in. We can feel it, right, when we're talking about him, which is so beautiful. So yeah, so much synchronicities certainly in our connection, and definitely somewhere along the line we have lived a life together with all of this amazing things that have intertwined for us. And I want to just really wrap up by firstly saying how fucking proud of you I am, from the girl that I met that first dinner in Bali, and the journey that you have been on. And I know this retreat for you was transformative in really allowing yourself to reconnect back to you, hey, to find you, to find a future, to find the way forward. And your mission and what you have done in the last 4 weeks since we came back from Bali, or certainly not even came back, literally just from the start of the retreat to what you're doing now, the mission that you have gone on to understand, and that Ben beautifully showed it to you, that, reclaiming those parts of you, parts of Kylie, that amazing woman that's in you, and finding some purpose and drive forward. And I want you to tell our listeners what it is that you're doing now, and, how your experience to now has given you the tools to really drive forward, to create a space for others to come and reconnect with themselves after loss.
I'd been fine that whole time, and then you start, yeah, talking like that, and the eyes get watery. Um, I just remember, I
Yes.
remember you saying to me that first night. You just kept saying to me, it felt like it was on repeat, to be honest. Like, this next 4 days is going to be so, like, you are going to have some really big shifts, and it's going to be really huge for you. I would have lost count on how many
Yeah.
times you had said that to me, and holy heck, it really was. It awoken something in me that it's always been there. I've always been kind, caring, wanting to help people. But as we were saying before, the mother of an angel really did take over, and with no purpose, I guess. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a mother of an angel. I'm always going to be that
Yes.
mother of an angel. But there was just, yeah, it turned out there was no purpose in that part. I'm never going to be that person again that I was before
Yes.
losing Ben. Um, but
Yeah.
damn, I feel like
Hmm.
in some ways I'm an even better version than what I was before I lost Ben. Um, I'm out here and
Yeah.
I
Wow.
do. I'm putting things in place to be that person to help people on a whole new level with those lived experiences. For me, one of the biggest things I've struggled with in the nearly 9 years is there not being that help. For me, breath work was just the
Yes.
start of that rebirth. I guess I've had to rebirth.
Yeah.
I
Find
can't
your way.
stay in that
Yeah.
spot. That's not living. I can hear
Yeah.
him screaming at me like, "Get your damn shit together, mum." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
um
Yes.
so yeah, I've known what I've wanted to do, and I know that I've wanted to help people, but the Bali trip
Yeah.
just, it all became so clear, so clear. Every aspect of what I wanted to
Yeah.
do, what I need to do, what I'm here to do. And that is to turn that pain into purpose, to help people. And it feels bloody good. It's turning my pain into purpose. I know
Yay!
I know what I'm here to do now. And it's so clear. So clear.
And I love this because really it took you to find yourself and find your way back to you by, focusing on you. Often, we're focusing on everyone else, and it's took you to create the space for you and allow yourself to go on this journey to reconnect, find your way back to you, to then open up your purpose. And you are always going to be able to create a space for someone that you didn't have, because you know how much that you wanted it, how much it would have helped you. And so the birth of Breathe for Them was
Yep.
born out of, this retreat, about out of you really meeting yourself on such a deep level, doing the inner work so that you are able to then support other people in their journey. And Breathe for Them was born. And in the show notes here, I'm going to link your beautiful Facebook group. And I know that you are based in Perth and also are launching in person events. So check out the Breathe for You page and your website. And I'm pretty sure that these events will certainly be going further than Perth and will be national in Australia, certainly. So watch this space for that. And Breathe for Them is a place for you to come to share, to feel supported with people that understand what you've gone through, right? And I love this, Kylie. I am so freaking proud of you. Your mission to support grieving families and open up the spiritual conversation as well. People can share things with you that have happened, and that the things that they're experiencing, they are
Yeah.
real, and they're not going crazy.
100%.
So I love this. It's absolutely beautiful. So exciting.
Thank you.
So I guess the last thing that I wanted to ask you is if Ben would want to give one piece of advice or one thing right now to the listeners, what would he want to say?
Oh, so many things. Like I can literally, he'd be like, his motto was stay true. Hence why I've got it tattooed across my chest, stay true.
That is beautiful.
Um,
That's so powerful.
you know, I can just hear him saying, "Fuck yeah, that's my mum." Like, what? I keep going to
Yeah.
think of other
He'd be so,
things.
he's so freaking proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah, he would be.
Yeah.
He's my biggest supporter.
He's so proud of you. So proud of you right now in what you've achieved in such a short time. And this is just the start for
Yeah.
you. This is just absolutely amazing. And I just want to thank you so much. I feel so honored to be right at the start of your journey into whatever this is going to be creating for you, because I know it's going to be big and I know it's going to help so many people. And yeah, I'm just so proud of
Oh,
you.
thank you so much.
So thank you so much for your time today, Kylie. And I look forward to, yeah, well, we're connecting all the time,
Yeah.
right? But thank you so much for sharing your journey with my listeners.
Thank
Alrighty. Well,
you.
thank you so much for joining us today, and bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to Diary of a Medium, Stories from the Spirit World. If something in today's episode has sparked something within you and you are curious about your own spiritual gifts, then check out my website on how I can support you. If you have your own story to share, then please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to support me, you can subscribe, leave a review, or simply share this with a friend. So until next time, trust yourself, trust spirit, and keep listening to the whispers from the universe. Bye for now.